Jake wiped the grease from his hands as the old sedan coughed into his driveway, steam hissing from under the hood. The woman who stepped out looked exhausted, her eyes heavy, her clothes wrinkled, her wallet empty. Jake had barely made rent that month, but something about her hesitation tugged at him. She whispered, "I have no money." He glanced at his rusted tools, then at her worn-out shoes. "I didn't ask for any," he replied. What he did not know was that this moment, the simple act of kindness, was about to set off a chain reaction that would change everything. Jake Carson had seen better days. His small-town repair shop, once buzzing with engines and laughter, now echoed with silence and the occasional rattle of tools. The walls were lined with unpaid bills, and the help wanted sign had faded under months of sun. Still, Jake opened his doors every morning with stubborn hope. That afternoon, as the sun dipped behind the pines, a battered sedan sputtered onto his gravel lot. Smoke poured from the hood. Jake wiped his hands and stepped outside. The driver's door opened slowly. A woman stepped out, young, maybe late 20s, in a faded jacket and jeans that had seen better years. She looked around nervously, clutching her phone like a lifeline. Jake gave a nod. "Overheating?" She hesitated. "I think so. I'm sorry. I didn't know where else to go." Jake lifted the hood and let out a low whistle. "Radiator's shot. You were lucky it made it this far." She bit her lip. "Can you fix it?" He looked up. Her eyes said everything before her words did. I don't have the money right now. I was hoping maybe you could let me pay later." Jake stared for a second. He had mouths to feed, overdue invoices, and a bank that was losing patience. But he also had a conscience that refused to rust over. He exhaled. "Leave it here. I'll take care of it." She blinked. "Wait, really?" He gave a lopsided smile. "I've been where you are." Tears welled in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them. "Thank you. I promise I'll pay you back." Jake didn't expect to see her again. People made promises like that all the time, but he fixed the car anyway, staying late into the night. He even threw in a used battery he had lying around. By morning, the car was ready. She returned, still stunned by his generosity. "Why did you help me?" she asked softly. Jake shrugged. "You looked like you needed someone to believe in you." "That's enough." She smiled, said her name was Emily, and drove away. Jake stood on the porch watching her tail. Lights fade. He figured that was the end of it. He was wrong. By sunset, his lot would be surrounded by vehicles that did not belong in a town like his. Jake was elbow deep in an oil change when he heard the first engine. Smooth, quiet, unmistakably expensive. He wiped his hands and stepped outside, expecting maybe a lost tourist needing directions. What he saw instead made his heart skip. A black Rolls-Royce Phantom rolled to a stop at the edge of his lot. Behind it, a silver Bentley, then two Mercedes G wagons, a Tesla Model X, and more high-end vehicles, one after another, lined the gravel like some bizarre automotive parade. Jake blinked. Luxury cars in his town were rarer than snow in July. His heart pounded as well-dressed drivers stepped out, looking around as if inspecting the place. One man in a crisp suit and sunglasses approached him. "Jake Carson?" the man asked. Jake nodded, cautious. "Yeah, who's asking?" The man handed him a sleek embossed envelope. "You're invited." Jake opened it. Inside was a single white card printed in elegant script. "You changed someone's life. Now it's your turn." Before he could ask anything, the back door of the Rolls-Royce opened. Out stepped Emily, but she looked nothing like the broke traveler from the day before. Her hair was neatly done, her coat was designer, and her posture carried the quiet confidence of someone used to owning the room. Jake froze. "Emily?" She smiled warmly. "It's actually Amelia Whitmore. My family owns Whitmore Holdings." Jake's jaw dropped. He had heard the name. Everyone had one of the wealthiest families in the country. Tech, real estate, fashion, you name it. "I didn't lie," she said gently. "I told you I had no money. That day, I left home with nothing but my name. I wanted to find someone real, someone kind without a price tag. And I found you." Jake struggled to find words. "You set this up?" She nodded. "I needed to see how you'd act when there was nothing to gain, and now I want to invest in your future." One of the men stepped forward, handing Jake a folder. Inside were documents, a full renovation of his shop, a new set of top-tier tools, a financial advisor, and an initial business grant worth more than Jake had made in a decade. Jake's hands trembled. "Why me?" Amelia stepped closer. Because you didn't just fix my car, you restored my faith in people, and I think the world needs more of you. Jake looked out at the fleet of cars, then back at the girl he helped for nothing. For the first time in years, hope came flooding back, not as a dream, but as a reality parked right in front of him. Jake barely slept that night. The folder sat on his kitchen table like a golden ticket, too unreal to touch, too life-changing to ignore. He kept opening it, expecting the numbers to vanish, the ink to fade, or the fine print to scream. Just kidding! But it was real. Every last word. The next morning, Jake returned to his shop as the sun rose, expecting quiet like always. But his lot was already filled. Construction crews, equipment trucks, architects, designers, a team of professionals buzzed around like bees, unloading blueprints, measuring walls, assessing everything from the plumbing to the ancient lift system that Jake had patched together for years. A tall woman in a hard hat approached him with a clipboard. "You must be Mr. Carson. We're here to begin the transformation." Jake blinked. "Transformation?" She smiled. "Miss Whitmore is funding a complete rebuild. State-of-the-art equipment, full solar, roofing, eco-friendly insulation, digital systems, customer lounge, everything. Oh, and she insisted the vintage Carson's auto sign stays. Said it's part of the soul?" Jake's voice cracked. "This is really happening." She grinned. "You earned it." By noon, Amelia arrived in a modest electric car, this time dressed casually, blending into the scene. She walked beside Jake as the old garage was stripped down. "I want this place to thrive," she said. "But more than that, I want you to lead something bigger." Jake raised an eyebrow. "Bigger than fixing cars." Amelia nodded. "A community initiative, free repairs for struggling families, a mentorship program for troubled teens, workshops to teach real skills, real tools. I'll fund it all, but you'll be the face of it." Jake's throat tightened. "Why me?" She looked him straight in the eyes. "Because when no one was watching, you made the right choice. That matters more than a resume or a suit." Jake turned to the shop, now halfway dismantled. This place was his father's before him. It held memories, sweat, stories in every dented wall. And now it was being reborn, not just as a business, but as a beacon. The town started noticing. Locals stopped by wide-eyed. Rumors flew. Some true, most wildly exaggerated. But one thing was clear. Jake Carson was no longer just the quiet mechanic with grease-stained hands. He was becoming something else, something bigger than he had ever imagined. Within a week, Jake's once-forgotten corner of town turned into a spectacle. People drove in from neighboring counties just to see the rising steel frame and sleek glass panels of what was quickly becoming the most advanced auto facility in the region. But it was not just about the building. Something deeper was shifting. The day the sign went up, Carson Auto and Community Garage, Jake stood beside it with trembling hands. Beneath the main logo, smaller words had been etched in clean silver script, "Powered by kindness, open to all." Jake had insisted on it. Every day brought new faces, some wealthy, curious about Amelia's mysterious project, others desperate, holding repair bills they could never afford. Jake never turned anyone away. He offered free diagnostics, gave honest advice, and always made time for those who just needed to talk. One afternoon, a teenage boy named Mateo showed up, shoelaces untied, shoulders slumped. His mother's car had broken down a few blocks away. She was working 2 jobs and the transmission was failing. Jake sent a tow truck free of charge. The next morning, Mateo returned alone and asked, "Can I learn what you do?" Jake handed him a pair of gloves. "Let's start with how to change oil." Word spread fast. More teens followed. Jake built a workbench just for them. Taught them not just how to use a wrench, but how to take pride in the work of their hands. Some had been skipping school. Some had never known a father figure. But in Jake's garage, they found both guidance and dignity. Amelia watched quietly from the sidelines. She visited often, always blending in, always refusing credit. When asked why she chose Jake, she would only say because he chose people. One night, Jake closed the shop late. He stood by the new sign, now softly glowing under LED lights. Behind him, the mentorship workshop buzzed with laughter and clanging tools. He looked up at the stars, then down at his own callous hands. So much had changed, but the core of who he was that never had. What began as a small act of kindness had become a movement, but something even bigger was still coming. Jake could feel it. He just did not know how close it already was. 2 months later, Jake stood on stage at a charity gala he never imagined attending, let alone headlining. He wore a simple black suit, slightly uncomfortable in it, but standing tall. Spotlights beamed down, cameras flashed.